Hello everyone, this is Dr. Varsha Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Painting, Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalay, Kamacha, Varanasi. Here I am presenting module number 3. The course title is Postmodern Art and Literature, Theory and Practices. Here I am going to present lecture number 4, exploring different art styles and forms during postmodern era, part number 1. So, in the last lecture, we studied about art movements of postmodern era. Now, I'm going to present some different art styles and forms of postmodern art. The first topic is conceptual art. Conceptual art is an art movement that emerged in the mid to late 1960s, characterized by the prioritization of ideas, concepts over the traditional aesthetics or commercial qualities of the artwork. Rather than focusing on visual appeal or permanence, conceptual art emphasizes intellectual engagement, often taking the form of installations, performance, or happenings that challenge conventional definitions and functions of art. It is not a unified style, but rather a blend of diverse practices that often critique the institutional, social, and economic frameworks surrounding the art world, such as how art is produced, displayed, and valued. While some critics urge that conceptual art can be elitist or inaccessible, it is core intention to its core intention is to provoke viewers, whether supporters or skeptics, to reconsider what art is and what it can be. Here is an example of conceptual art. This is the work of Joseph Kossuth. In One and Three Chair, this is the title of this work. In One and Three Chair, Joseph Kossuth represents a chair in three ways: as a constructed chair, as a photograph, and as a copy of a dictionary entry to the word chair. This installation is composed of an object, an image, and words. Kossuth did not make the chair, take the photograph, or write the definition. He chose them and added them together. But is it art? And which representation of the chair is the most accurate? These open ended questions are what Kossuth wanted us to think about when he said that art is to make meaning. By juxtaposing these three alternative representations, Kossuth turns a simple wooden chair into an object of debate and even bewilderment. Kossuth turns a simple wooden chair into an object of debate and even bewilderment, a platform for the search for new meaning. This is the next example. The artist is Sol Lewitt. Work's title is Wall Drawing, hashtag 340. This wall is divided evenly into 6 parts, both horizontally and vertically. Each section features a background of a solid color crossed by horizontal parallel line of another color, with a geometric figure at the center containing vertical lines in a third color. The horizontal lines stop precisely at the edge of the figure, leaving them visually uninterrupted. In sequence, a red field with blue lines frames a circle filled with yellow lines A yellow field with red lines frames a square field with blue lines. A blue field with yellow lines frames a triangle filled with red lines. A red field with yellow lines frames a rectangle filled with blue lines. A yellow field with blue lines frames a trapezoid filled with red lines, and a blue field with red lines and a blue field with red lines frames a parallelogram filled with yellow lines, and overall composition balances color, line, and form with precise rhythm and clarity. Next art style is collage art. Collage art is an art technique derived from French word coller, meaning to paste. It involves combining various materials like photos, papers, fabric, and found objects onto a flat surface to form a unified composition. While collage refers to two dimensional works, its three dimensional counterpart is known as a assemblage. Though the method has long standing roots, it rose to prominence in early 20th century modern art through artists like Georges Braque and Pablo Picasso, who coined the term papier collé for their innovative paper-based work. Here is the example: bottle, glass and violin, made in 1912 to 13 by Pablo Picasso. This is collage on paper. Collage is a flexible and evolving art form that incorporates everyday materials into artworks, leading to diverse techniques and styles. The next technique is assemblage and sculpture. Collage moved into three-dimensional through assemblage. Picasso's Maquette for guitar 1912 is a key early example. Later artists like Rosenberg, Canyon 1959, Sweeters, Merzbow, and Novelson Sky Cathedral 1958 blended sculpture and collage using found objects and unconventional material. Here is the example of Louis Novelson Sky Cathedral, made in 1958, painted wood. Next example is Robert Rosenberg's Canyon 1959. This is made by oil, pencil, paper, metal, photographs, fabric, wood, canvas, buttons, mirrors, taxidermite, eagle, cardboard, pillow, paint tube, and other materials. This work is in collection of the Museum of Modern Art, New York. With this taxidermied eagle as if emerging from the painting. Robert Rosenberg's Canyon 1959 exemplifies the evolution of three-dimensional collage into what art critic Roberta Smith called a multimedia hybrid. Here is an example of canvas collage. Artist name is Lee Krasner. The title of this work is Blue Level, made in 1955. The medium of this work is oil, paper, and burlap collage on canvas. Canvas collage. Artists like Lee Krasner, Blue Level 1955, and Conrad Marca Raleigh glued painted canvas fragments onto larger surface, creating dynamic composition that influenced Neo Dada. This is also an example of photomontage. Photomontage. Dada artists such as Hannah Hosch and John Hartfield used cut photographic images to comment on politics and media. Romer Burden later adopted the style in his projection series. British pop art began in 1947 with Edward Paolozzi photomontages made from mass media imagery. Alongside Richard Hamilton and Peter Blake, he explored post war consumer culture with both critique and celebration. Hamilton's 1956 work, Just What Is It That Made Today's Homes So Different, So Appealing, reflects the era fascination with consumer goods and technology. American pop art soon followed, with artists like Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein focusing on celebrity and consumerism. James Rosenquist, President elect 1960 to 61, used fragmented imagery to question advertising's powerful role in shaping public perception in a media saturated society. Next art style is decollage. This reverse collage technique, tearing away poster layers, was embraced by Mimmo Rotella, Jacques Villagels, and Wolf Wassel, who applied it to critique consumer culture and mass media. Here is an example of work of Mimmo Rotella entitled 1960. This is an example of decollage on canvas. The next art style is performance art. Performance art in postmodern era. Performance art, also known as artistic action, is a live, time based art form where the artist uses their body and action to create an often fleeting experience for an audience. It emphasizes presence, physicality, time, space, and audience interaction, often without narrative or script. The movement was led by Tristan Zara, a Romanian avant garde poet, essayist, and performance artist. Highly interdisciplinary, it draws from music, dance, film, poetry, fashion, architecture, and more. Unlike traditional theater, the artist typically acts as creator, performer, and direct with performances ranging from intimate gestures to public spectacles. Its roots lie in early 20th century avant-garde movement like Futurism, Dada, Constructivism, Surrealism, and Bauhaus, which rejected static art objects in favor of live, participatory works. Later developments such as happenings, conceptual art, and feminist and activist art expanded its scope. By the 1970s, the term performance art became widely used, closely tied to conceptual art, focusing on ideas over physical objects. Artists addressed social political issues through activist art, feminist art, and body based performances, using the body to exploring identity, sexuality, and endurance. Performance art can occur anywhere, from galleries and museums to streets and cafes, often making the site and audience part of the work. By the 1980s, performance art incorporated video, sound, and digital media, evolving into new forms like video art and installation art. Despite its ephemeral nature, it is now widely recognized and exhibited in museums and galleries, continuing to challenge conventions in contemporary art. Performance artists were deeply influenced by political and cultural shifts, using their bodies to explore identity, power, and social issues. Barbara T. Smith's Ritual Meal, 1969, marked a turning point in feminist performance alongside figures like Corley Sheinman and John Jonas, who integrated nudity, narrative, and gender into their work. Yoko Ono, Joseph Baez, Nain June Paik, Alan Capro, Vito Econci, Chris Burden, Jazz, Esther Ferrer, and John Hidalgo were the leading artists of performance art. Barbara T. Smith's Ritual Meal 1969. We can see the work in this slide. Her work was shaped by the study of religion and the artist with themes of ritual and community central to her practice. On one of her earliest recorded performance, Ritual Meal 1969 exemplifies this. Unsuspecting guests were invited to a meal where they donned medical scrubs and ate raw meat using surgical tools. Surrounded by projections of a beating heart, the galaxy, and ocean waves, according to Freeze magazine. Here is a next example of Carolee Sheeman. The title of her work is I Body 36 Transformative Action for Camera 1963. Gelatin silver print photograph is a medium of her work. I Body 36 Transformative Action for Camera, made in 1963, marked Carolee Sheeman's breakthrough in integrating her body as both subject and medium within her art. Inspired by her large scale constructions and encouraged by artist Ero, she staged a ritualistic performance in which she covered herself with materials like paint, grease, and rope to merge with her environment. Sheeman asserted her creative female will, challenging the male dominated art world and traditional notions of femininity. Through this work, she redefined the female body as both erotic and sacred, and as a powerful site of artistic agency. Next artistic style is installation art. Installation art refers to art practice that involve arranging objects in a space so that the entire setup became the artwork. It focuses on how art is produced and displayed rather than being a specific style or movement. It can include various media and requires active viewer engagement, often involving multiple senses and perspective. A key feature is the integration of the display space onto the artwork, especially in site specific art, where moving the work changes its meaning. Artists often provide detailed instructions on how their installation should be set up. While site is important in installation art, some works can be reconfigured in different locations like museum or public spaces, depending on the artist guideline. Though associated mainly with the 1960s onward, its roots trace back to early 20th century avant-garde movement like Dada and constructivism. Installation art gained prominence in 1960s to 70 amid social and cultural shift influenced by movement like minimalism and conceptual art, which rejected traditional art formats. It emphasizes experience over representation, often using temporary, performative, or site specific forms. Critical theories like feminism and post colonialism also shaped installation art by questioning fixed perspectives and embracing fragmented contextual experiences. Notable artists of conceptual art. Here are some notable artists as A. Vue, who uses installations to address social and political issues. Damien Hirst, known for provocative works exploring death and life. Christo and Jean Claude, famous for monumental land art like floating piers. Doris Salcedo, creating political charges, memory evoking spaces. Marshall Rudhers, Zeddy Chicago, Kara Walker, Olafur Ellison, Yui Kusama. So, here is an example of Damien Hirst. The title of this work is The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living, 1991. The physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living, 1991, stands as one of Damien Hirst's most renowned work. First displayed at London's Saatchi Gallery, this large-scale installation cost around €50,000 to produce. It features a great white shark suspended in a formaldehyde-filled glass tank, becoming a defining symbol of young British artist and Brit art movement. At its core, the piece confronts the theme of death. Hirst explained the fear of the shark is irrational, but it's a powerful way to access the very real fear of death. In the next example, this example is decor. Artist name is Marshall Brothers. Belgium artist Marshall Brothers, known for his witty and literary approach, is regarded as the father of installation. Active during the 1960s and 70s, he used unconventional materials like eggshells and mussels in innovative ways. In his later years, he created immersive decors, combining past works with borrowed objects. Although less famous than some peers, his influence is significant, and MoMA honored him with a major retrospective in 1916. Next installation art example is A. Vue's He Z 3200 River Cups by A. Vue, 2010. Reshore Museum, Washington, D.C. A. Vue is a leading and often controversial contemporary artist known for creating powerful works across various mediums: documentary, architecture, photography, music, sculpture, and ceramics. His art centered on themes of human rights and democracy. He earned both widespread acclaim and criticism. A. Vue's River Crab installation, featuring 2,300 porcelain crabs piled chaotically explores themes of privacy, freedom, and control. Its Chinese title, He Zi, subtly critiques government, censorship, and propaganda, highlighting the forced uniformity and powerlessness of citizens under communist rule. Thank you.